It's the SDG Podcast. Before we get started, you can check us out on the web at solutiondesign.com/podcast or find us on all the social medias, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Solution Design Group. Welcome, everybody, to the podcast. We're going to talk about D&D and modern technology and how the two can be married together and useful and all that stuff. And with us today is the senior dungeon master of our dungeon master community. And I'm just the apprentice, Steve Bunda. Thanks for joining us.
Hello, everyone.
And we got Allison Lorenzo.
Hello.
And Peter Lawrence.
That's me.
And junior apprentice dungeon master Kyle Bacher. That's me. So I know there's D&D Beyond, which is a very content-rich, it's just a great site where you can create characters and do all sorts of stuff. I've only used it to create characters. And Steve, I know you have a presentation coming up about using AI for stuff. So can you just give us a quick overview of what you're using technology for now?
Sure. I mean, I can give you a kind of a general view of technology and how it's used with the game.
Yeah.
So the big things, of course, you know, I cut my teeth back in AD&D back in the previous century, and you know, a lot of things are available today, of course, that weren't then. So things like online play. You know, it's no longer reserved to just playing at a table, although I would contend that playing at a table is preferred. So there's online play through, tools like Roll20 or Foundry or Fantasy Grounds or things like that. Then the aforementioned item that you talked about, which is, you know, digital character sheets with D&D Beyond, which had been a third party that created that, and I agree with you, it is an awesome site for creating characters, and because quite frankly, creating characters is not always fun, but they've made it easier, and that's a great tool. But that site, a third party, has subsequently been purchased by Wizards of the Coast, the owners of Dungeons and Dragons right now. So there's that tool, which is great, and it allows you to create campaigns and people can join to it. And if you've got digital books, which is now available, another thing, digital books rather than the physical hard copy, you can share those books with the other players in your campaign, which is really great.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And then there's other tools that go, if you're playing online with things like Foundry or the aforementioned, you know, like Roll20 or whatever, you can use other voice, video, or other tools like Discord or Zoom or Teams and things like that. And then you've got things like, you know, like the dice technology, which is built into D&D Beyond, which allows you to not only have your character sheet up, but you don't even need to remember which dice to roll. You can just click on the attack, let's say, and it will roll the dice for you automatically and display that. And if you're playing online through any of these other tools, whether it's Discord or Roll20, it'll actually display those results to the other players, which is great. So there's dice technology. And then you've got things like something that might be near and dear to your heart, Kyle, is like map and world building software. So you've got things like that to create great maps. I've used things like Incarnate, which I love, but it's a subscription. There's other ones like Wonderdraft, which is a one-time cost, but not as intuitive as something like Incarnate. And so things like that. And then other digital tools to organize things, whether you're using something like OneNote. I think we have a fellow colleague of ours, Norik, who uses something else. I'm trying to, maybe Obsidian or something like that.
Yeah, Obsidian.
Yeah, so things like that. And then you get into things like AI, which I'll discuss in a couple of weeks as a separate presentation of what I'm using it for there. So that's kind of my overview. Did I miss anything? Allison? Kyle?
I think
Peter?
You covered a lot of the stuff on my mind. I mean, I totally agree with you about playing remotely has been cool because I left a lot of friends back in Madison, Wisconsin who were big into it. Um, so I love the ability to do it, but if I had the choice, oh my gosh, playing in person with a hot pizza that you just ordered and a bunch of snacks and that's just way better. You can just it's like everything else that you can do virtually or in person, there's pros and cons to each, but when it comes to having fun, I think in person is just a nicer fit.
Yeah.
But something that also I think has been cool has been the ability to play even by yourself or maybe with like a buddy without a DM because they're not maybe not D&D. I'm sure you could, but I'm thinking of like other games. There's this Lord of the Rings game that I got for my husband, and it's replayable because it comes with like these little segments of maps that you can put in different ways, and there's an app that'll guide you through these things, and you're still rolling, you're still role playing, but it's facilitated in a way that you don't need an experienced DM, and I think that's a really cool advancement too. So if you're just curious but you're scared to dip in or you don't know someone, that technology can kind of facilitate that too.
I apologize, Allison. I didn't give you any build up at the beginning of the podcast when I introduced you as a D&D player and part of our D&D community. So.
Oh yeah, well, no build up needed. I've never DM'd. I've played a couple of like Pathfinder games before joining SDG, and then I've done a number of games with Steve, and now you, Kyle, have run one for me. So I still feel like I have a lot to learn, but I enjoy it so much. But I don't actually know, Peter, what's your experience with tabletop games?
I'm carrying old baggage from the dice and paper books days. I'm a busy person that has not created time in my life to play D&D, and I'm sort of looking forward to that opportunity someday. But it's one of those things where now we're on, I don't even know what version we're on because I didn't realize that I was playing a version of the game before. Fourth edition. Oh, well, whatever, or whatever, but now it's like, well, how do I play? What do I play? And that kind of thing. So I just need to show up on a good Saturday and drag myself into SDG and get caught up. But that's what and sort of a novice, not aware of anything. So I will ask all the stupid questions today.
Well, I think like Steve,
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I'm gonna finish your sentence. No stupid questions, I think is where you were going. And
yes,
Steve had mentioned the ability to have like digital documentation available to you. So like if the DM can share a guidebook, oh my gosh, it's so much easier to learn the rules and to not feel too intimidated if you don't know something, because you can just do like a Control F and look up what you're interested in. So I think that's another cool thing that technology has added is just the democratization of information and the ease of understanding it all, and the simplification of it, I think, has been huge.
I agree with that. The whole thing in D&D Beyond where you see your character sheet, and
Yes.
if you're new, you look at it and it's so intimidating. It's like, what am I even looking at? And all you have to do is click on one little item and it will open a panel and give you a complete description of what that is, rather than forcing you to, wade through a book and find what you're looking for and try to understand it. But the other thing you talked about is knowing the rules. In my mind, this is a game you don't need to know the rules because someone will kind of understand the rules and make the interpretations. You don't need to know the rules. When I started DMing again after a long hiatus from the game and starting to answer your question, Peter, 5th edition is sort of the latest, or 5.5. I had no idea what the rules were. I was just going based on my past experience, and I was fortunate enough to have a player, Eric Tice, who knew the rules better than I did. So like he'd be telling me the rules while I'm running the game for everyone else, and it was so great. And now I'm at the point after being immersed back in this game where I kind of feel like I know many of the rules. I will never know most of them, and certainly never know all of them. It's not possible. But I will argue that D&D or a game like it, some type of role-playing game, is the most fun you can have with your brain.
Nice.
Yeah.
Because you're flexing your left brain and your right brain.
Yeah. I would agree with that. I think, it requires a lot of thought, and there's a time box on it. You're playing with other people and it's your turn, and you're in a situation and there's danger and things happening, and it can be exhilarating, and so you're like, okay, well, I'll just do this and hope it works out. So I played and started DMing. I've done two sessions, and I've been lucky enough to have Steve, which kind of helps because last time I was just sitting there and he's like, we should probably roll for initiative. Yeah. So I guess I have Eric to thanks because he taught you and now you're teaching me. It's awesome.
But
I watched.
I think that's.
Go ahead, Peter.
I think that's what makes those kind of games great, and why everybody who plays them regularly has a great experience, is because they're so collaborative. They're so. I mean, it's a lot of games are sort of player A versus player B, but this is more the team versus the universe, and the DM is just there to help keep things going, right? They're part of the team too. And so it's not like, well, I beat you, I win. It's more of, hey, we had a blast and we got some stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Collaborative games, I think, are great. And unlike many games, you as a player, if you've never played before, you are not at a disadvantage for not knowing the game.
Right.
You're not at a significant disadvantage to somebody who's played 500 times. It's the same experience for you as it is for them. And I think that's great. And I think that's something that many people don't understand if they've never played.
Right.
Because there's this perceived barrier to entry. About any game that it has a little bit of mystery to it. Is, am I going to be any good? Other people know this game. I'm at a disadvantage. None of that is true, at least in my mind. Maybe I have some kind of crazy notion about it, but I think
I'm sure there's
true.
tournaments somewhere, but
there probably is, but it's a friendly game.
Yeah. Like the biggest difficulty that I've had is actually just spells. Like what's the right spell for the right circumstance and things like that. Weapons, that's easy. I'm going to swing my sword. I'm going to hit this guy. But the kind of the mix of, well, I'm going to save my healing spells for this person because they're the tank in front protecting all of us. And it's like, if one person loses a hit point, I'm not going to worry about it unless it's their last one. That kind of stuff. And, going into playing or DMing, I asked Steve and he sent me some links to some YouTube videos. So that's another way technology is helping, is access to the experience and the experienced people. And there's a guy that has an entire series of videos on how to be a dungeon master. And I watched like hours of those videos, not just to learn the game, but the guy was really interesting. Do you know his name, Steve?
Yes, I do. Matt Colville. He's awesome.
Yeah. He is.
Now, there are many dungeon tubers out there, right, as they are called.
Right.
But Matt really had a great series on how to run the game, and it's a lot of info. And you bring up a good point. There's all this video content out there, and other things like another technology is like streaming on Twitch or whatever. And I know Allison is familiar with Critical Role, which was basically this group of voice actors that would play Dungeons and Dragons and film it, and this was wildly popular. To me, I watched a few of them, and they're really good and they're very fun to watch. Like, they're very entertaining. They're entertainers.
Right.
Yep.
But have been so busy, like, trying to A, learn the game, and B, run my game. I don't have time to watch everything. So that's not something that I've seen a lot of. But then it was so popular that it became then an animated series. So that's kind of wild. Another thing that's out there for technology.
Yeah. Critical Role is what got me into it. It was sneaky. One of my friends who already liked playing, like, tried to kind of get me interested, and I was like, I don't know. And then she's like, oh, maybe just like watch this show. And I'm like, okay, I can watch a thing. And then I like got super into it, got super deep, and that's how they roped me in into finally playing. And it's brought me here where I am today, and I'm so happy it did. But like, oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, as anyone who's ever played these games knows, a single session takes hours, at least 3, if you're doing a normal format. So it's the same thing with these streamed shows. It's like every episode is 4 hours long. So you got to be dedicated to get through those.
That's interesting.
So many.
That's interesting that was your entry into D&D, was watching that. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Like, did it solve a bunch of questions you had? Like, how does this work?
Yes, it did. I think that was a big hurdle for me, was just like, what is it? Like, what is role playing? Is it LARPing? Is it like you're following a script? I just could not wrap my head around like what a DM was doing, what the players were doing. So seeing them act it out, and then seeing like, oh, it's just like structured cooperative play pretend. Like, I could do that, and like, okay, that's how they use the dice. It's not some like weird mystical mathematics. It's like you just roll to help randomize what happens. And it got me over that roadblock of just I couldn't possibly do this thing because I'm already so far behind, or like I just can't understand the gist of it. And just the curiosity aspect like went way up. Like, this looks really fun. These guys are laughing constantly. They're not taking it super seriously. It's not like a bunch of people trying to act like Tolkien characters, all serious and epic and stuff. It's like super goofy, and I want to do that with friends too.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that like makes people like nervous about playing, is thinking that they have to show up dressed like a wizard doing a voice. And
I own no robes.
No, right.
It's funny.
Okay,
I get that question a lot when something comes up about that I play D&D, and somebody, invariably there's always the question, do you dress up? I'm like, no. So
I wear
that's
pants,
kind of funny.
but come on.
Yeah, right. Now, I will say, and I know we wanted to talk about like the technology around this, but there's a lot that's what I would say is non-technology, and Allison, you mentioned it, which is playing with a group of friends. Because every game and every table can be very different based on who's playing and the style of game that is run. And I think back in the old days, and I think I may have fell victim to this, is I wanted the game to go a certain way, and I needed to, as the dungeon master, let the table, let it be more, hey, we're all in this. I'm just here to ensure everyone has fun. Right. And I think once I kind of got to that point, like, I'm not going to have fun if I'm trying to teach people a lesson or whatever. That just is not good. So it's really a lot about people and finding the right group. And because some groups, they kind of fall apart after I think the average campaign is like 6 or 7 sessions.
Mm.
And, I have my current group, which I play. In fact, I have a game tonight. We are on episode 57.
Nice.
Holy cow.
So it's been
Very
going for
nice.
about 3 years.
Wow.
And, rarely does anyone miss a session. It's rare.
Right.
And it's usually
Okay.
for a very good reason. And so a lot of that, though, I attribute to having a group where we all want to get the same things out of it. We all have the same expectations. We all have a certain play style. We are goofy at times. In fact, some days when things are really heavy, so if you recall things in Minneapolis during January, February, when things were very heavy here, I would have the most lighthearted sessions possible, as I was awarding inspiration tokens for any pun someone could make during the game. And it was just wildly crazy. There were inspiration tokens being handed out like candy. So it can be goofy, it can be fun, and a lot of that is non-technology. So
Yeah. And it never goes, quite the way you expect it to, or, you create this this adventure for the group to take them through, and you've got a story that kind of is being told along the way. And things, they have to get from point A to point B to point C, but there's things that happen you're not expecting, like a romantic relationship between the ship's captain and one of the security guards. Which that was all you, Allison. And it was
Yeah,
awesome. Like it really was.
it was the way that I felt most inspired to help in my particular role. Yeah, the story here was like a heist, right? We had to get into this castle and there were guards, and one of my weaknesses, I'll fully admit, is that like I don't have a great strategy brain when it comes to like some of these things, like how are we going to achieve our mission. I feel like Steve, you're really good at that, of like, oh, I'm gonna talk to this guy and I'm gonna weasel, and what if we did this? And I'm more like, I heard that this guard is kind of lonely. I'm gonna set him up with the ship's captain. That's like how I, as Allison, and I, as my character Poe, like that's how we can contribute. And thank you for letting it happen, Kyle.
It was fun. I'm like, I'm gonna run with this. This is great.
And it was great. And they ran away together at the end. Happy
They
ending for
did.
them.
Yeah, it was a happy ending. It was awesome.
So what are besides convenience, what do these tools bring to the game itself? I assume you can play without it, but I'm assuming that none of you are probably willing to play without some of these tools anymore.
Well,
I'm willing. It's possible.
I can see doing a nostalgia campaign where you just show up, you got your books and your dice and your character sheet and some graph paper and a mechanical pencil and a bag of Doritos.
I would say it's certainly possible that you can do it without. One of the nice things about, like, for the character creation is it has the guardrails up that prevents you from doing something you can't do.
Right.
So you can't create a character that is, broken, as it were, as we call them. It keeps the rules in place. It basically says, oh, you picked this, you now get pick one of these 5 things, and you pick this other thing, so now pick two of two from this list, any 2, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or gets to another point, do you want to do A or B? Okay, you're going to pick B and do that. So that's kind of nice, but there's absolutely no need to embrace technology.
Right.
That said, for a given thing, and I'm just looking at like my adventure tonight, I used to keep my entire campaign in OneNote, and I would have tabs for every adventure, and then within there I'd have other things broken out, and that was fine. I was kind of testing it out, see how it worked. And now I've settled on I just have a Word document, and I just
Okay.
have I just have it, collapsible, expandable, collapsible sections, so that I can just weave through this and then open it up, and I'll have my laptop at as my DM screen.
Oh,
There used to
nice.
be the cardboard screen. Now
Right.
I just have my laptop, and so I've got that, kind of my outline, if you will, of the adventure. And then I will have like, oh gosh, I'm not sure what they're going to do here. So I'm
Right.
just going to embed links to the various monsters they might come across.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll obviously have the internet available. But all the characters have, or all the players have their characters in D&D Beyond. So I have an extra window up of their characters so that I can reference something quickly to go, rather than say, hey, do any of you know how to speak Dwarvish? And then I basically told them what the language is, which isn't
Right.
as fun. Instead, I can scan their languages that they know and go, oh, it's written in this odd, blocky dialect that none of you seem to know. And then what, then the wizard goes, all right, fine, I'll cast, comprehend languages. All right, so then he solves that problem. But what's nice about that with D&D Beyond and having those character sheets available to me is I will put things in the adventure so that they can do cool stuff with their abilities.
Right.
So that's a really great tool for me, is having their stuff electronically. I can reference it and go, oh, you know what? They've selected this spell, but they haven't used it in ever. I'm going to put something in so they can use that.
Nice.
And that's really fun for me, especially when they get super excited. Wait, I have this thing. And, they get all, that is like, to me, gold. So that's kind of a fun use of technology there.
That sounds really cool, because I don't suspect back in the day you'd be like, fax me your players and let me,
Right.
I'll go through them as I'm building my dungeon out, right? Like, this is just an extra piece that enhances everybody's experience.
Right. Another key piece of technology, and I say this tongue in cheek, is I use PowerPoint. Okay, so hear me out, because I have a love-hate relationship with
You
PowerPoint.
forgot to list that earlier.
I did. What I found is and this was something I learned by being a player, is we'd go a couple weeks. We usually play like every 2 weeks, and all of a sudden we'd get to the game and I'd be like, man, I don't remember these NPCs' names or whatever. I don't remember this. I don't remember that. And I decided that was such a pain point, that what I do now is every adventure that we play, I begin with a PowerPoint that lists, here's the last thing you did. Here's all the things you did in the last session. Here are all the NPCs that you have encountered to date. And it's like 5 slides of NPCs with their pictures so that they can reference that. And during the game, they'll say, hey, can you bring up the list of NPCs? And also I'll bring it up on the screen, and I have a huge TV by my table. And so they can reference things that have occurred throughout the campaign, and I'll just bring that up and project it on the TV. And that has been very helpful, because it sort of resets the game and reminds people of important things, maybe an artifact or a map they have that they're not sure what it belongs to. And so that'll be up there as kind of a reminder.
Oh, fun.
And so PowerPoint, what a great technology, huh? I know.
You said the phrase pain point, or the term.
Yeah.
And it made me think, well, that's a kind of a funny name for PowerPoint.
Yeah.
It's apt.
Yes. Yeah.
I can attest to how useful that is, though, as one of the players who has benefited from your PowerPoints. I concur. It's been nice to have. And just like, you have cool images associated with each of the NPCs and the map, and the imagery, I think, is an enriching aspect for me. And I think that's one other piece that technology is going to help with, I think, is now that it's doing a lot of custom image generation with AI. Me and Tim Nelson were talking about this the other day, is since forever, whenever you come up with a character for yourself, like, you love that character. You want to like explore that, share it. Like, I want to flesh out that character as much as I can. And I know there are like professional artists out there who make a lot of money as like being commissioned to create art of these characters that people are coming up with because they want to bring them to life. And I think AI is going to shorten that really quickly. And you can just describe, oh, my character is this tall, blonde, and she's this species, and she wears this kind of armor and this very special kind of weapon. And I think that's very exciting for a lot of people, me and Tim at least included. And I think, it's one of those things. Anytime I talk about AI and art, it's a little bit weird because I have weird moral, ethical qualms about it. But you know, this is one positive outcome of it, I think.
I would agree with that.
It's, oh,
Go ahead.
yeah, I was just gonna say it's that double-edged sword, and it's
Yeah.
like, can there be an AI stamp that's just on everything, just so you know if it's AI or not?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's some things you can just recognize. Yeah, this is definitely AI, and I created a picture of my character, Paladin, and it turned out really well. I was like, this is great,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that the great thing about AI is that I can do that, but it's something I couldn't normally do.
Mm-hmm.
And like just with presentation stuff like that, it's like I can display these things, and it's better for the audience. It's better for me when I can do this cool stuff. I'm not passing it off as my own. I'm not making money off of it. No one commissioned me to paint something and I just,
Yeah.
put it in AI. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I know what you mean though, Allison. It's
Right.
like, man,
Yeah, I do have a moral conflict about it. But I have used it, and I do like creating images, and I'll use them often to set the tone for the adventure. Like, for example, I had the party was on a boat and entering this dock area at this town, and I needed it to be shrouded in fog and very dark and rainy. And I needed a couple of people on the docks. And, I'm not going to find that image anywhere. So I had AI create it, and, it would create something that'd be like, oh, that's not exactly what I wanted. So I've actually learned some better prompting just through like, hey, and show this from the perspective of this, and it would create this image. And then I would have that up on the screen when the players arrive. Like, this is what this adventure is going to look like, kind of generally
cool.
here.
Yeah.
And that's been kind of fun to do that.
yeah.
So,
Back in the day, would you just go out and search a bunch of images and see if you couldn't come up with something close? It's not like you would be hand drawing them in the past or hiring an
Yes.
artist to create these. You'd go out and be like, oh, let me throw together a bunch of images and try to.
Yeah. And I had one recently where I needed a glacier lake surrounded by, broken rock. Well, that actually exists today, right? So I just found somebody's picture that they took up in the mountains, and I just
Right.
had that as my image instead. So
Yeah.
agreed.
When I played as a kid, I remember many horrible pencil drawings of characters that we all had.
Oh yeah.
And that was part of the fun, though, I think, is trying to do that kind of stuff. But I don't know, AI seems so much cooler
Well, it's
because I'm not
it's
an artist.
more rewarding visually because it's borrowing from so many existing things that your mind is used to, right?
Mm-hmm.
You could have it probably even create a kindergarten level drawing of your character, and it would be fun, but it would look like something that kindergartners have drawn because there's a kindergarten style that we're all kind of used to. You walk through an elementary school and
Yeah.
yep, those are all kid pictures. Their hands are very, circle with sticks coming out of them or whatever, and it's a style. I I I I agree though. There is that sort of could I do it a different way? And maybe I should, but
It gave me an idea that you could do like a campaign where all the characters are like Muppet Babies. Okay, all your characters
Oh
are
my
5.
What does combat look like? Pushing and shoving,
there you go.
It's all Nerf. It's
hair
LARPing.
pulling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 And
One other
there's
thing about
go
sorry.
ahead.
Just one other thing about art and character creation while I'm thinking about it is the miniatures, right? With the advent of 3D printing and their like online tools, I want to say it's like called Hero Forge or something like that. You can
Yeah.
build a little miniature for your character and 3D print it or order someone else to do that, and you have a physical toy that you can like put on your maps and stuff. And that's also very exciting, I think. It's just adds another
You guys-
level of bringing your character to life.
So Peter, if I send you some specs, will you 3D print me some characters?
If you send me an STL, I'll run it through, but I'm not going to create anything in Autodesk or anything like that. So
That's great because I had submitted something to one of our channels to have someone create this thing for me, and I have yet to have anyone go, "Yes, I've created it for you," but I have the STL. So that's interesting. We're talking about like miniatures and game table stuff. There's different technologies that have come out there. The aforementioned Hero Forge and other, tons of people will just say, "Hey, I'll print you this, or I'll sell you the STL." I think that's pretty interesting. I create a ton of terrain that I would never have done 20 years ago. I have a hot wire cutter, not like that's anything new technology, but tons of stuff that I've been learning with that, and creating things that out of stuff that either from the dollar store or from, the craft store or Home Depot or whatever. And I build that tactile stuff that I bring to the game table as well. So there's kind of some minor technology going on there.
But you're not building, you don't have the giant down projected map that shows on things.
No, but it's funny that we've talked about that for like 8 or 9 years. Eric and I, where we talked about, because there's some people that will do a projector, some people will embed a TV into the table,
right,
and have that,
Wow.
and then you just display your maps with grids where the TV is the table.
Yep.
I haven't done that. I tend to prefer, mostly because during COVID, I was like crafting all this stuff because that occupied my time. And so I got so down the rabbit hole of that I'm like, I'll just do this. But it has been on my mind, like doing things to speed things up, which gets me to other tools. There's plenty of people have websites. I bet I have 40 or 50 bookmarks of D&D related things, resources that I can go find. There's like name generators and things like that are kind of helpful for me. Sometimes I've turned to those for, I don't want to think up this dwarf NPC's name. I'm using that because that's the game tonight. I had to come up with the players get an option between 3 guides. They have to pick one of them, and each one has pluses and minuses to them. I don't want to come up with the names, and so I can use the name generator. However, I have found that AI is a better name generator for me. And I will get into like all that AI stuff in a couple of weeks, but I use AI for, hey, give me a list of 5 names, and I want it to be sort of like this, or include this little. I wanted her name to have the word Rita in it. And I said, okay, put the word Rita in the first name somewhere. And it gave me a list back, and I'm like, great. And she's the ex-wife of somebody they already know in the game. So that's going to be kind of fun to play that out. So we'll see. Anyway, so AI has been great for name generation. I use it for just a lot of things. I would say I use it more so now than I did 2 years ago.
Sure.
But there's probably not a adventure that I plan that doesn't include something that I've used for AI to save me a bunch of time.
Wow.
I don't think
But
it's
it's a
and
time saver. It's not that
yeah.
you couldn't do it without.
Oh yeah. Like
Yeah.
there's this document that they need to find, and I'm embedding a clue in there for like a month down the road. Like it's 2 or 3 adventures away, but I'm going to embed the clue here, and they need to be hidden in this document. And I'm like, that's going to take me like an hour to create that. And I just
Right.
said to AI, create a scroll for D&D that looks like this and includes this information, and then a couple of snippets about the second and third red herring topics. Boom, and
Nice.
spit it out. And I think I needed to make one correction to it because it tends to, in my D&D project that I have for AI, it remembers stuff that I didn't want it to remember. No, take that out. So that's really great for that. I absolutely have fallen in love with AI for D&D, which I will talk about in a few weeks. So,
Which is way better than lorem ipsum or something else, right?
Bacon
Yeah.
Ipsum. Yeah.
yep.
Bacon
Yep.
ipsum. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a cheat. I really don't. Because, Steve, you've created, how much lore have you written? How many characters, how many NPCs? I mean, because you've been doing this for years. It's like, he's paid his dues. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's some things I still like to create myself, which is fine. It's just sometimes I'm like, especially right now in this campaign, I'm on episode 57. It's like, I'm not going to go spend an hour doing this thing that may or may not have any impact on anything in the
Right.
game. It depends what they want to do with it. So I'm just going to create this thing on the side, and if we use it, great. But it saves me a bunch of time of doing tedious things and
Mhm.
allows me to focus more on what I think are the more challenging or thoughtful things that I need to do, which is to make sure players like challenging and rewarding encounters, right? They
Right.
want to feel like they earned it. Now,
Yeah.
sometimes you want an encounter to be easy. Sometimes you want it to be hard. Sometimes you want them to like, hey, this is beyond you. You need to run. Like sometimes those are intentional,
Right.
but most of the time I'm trying to make it be rewarding. And as parties get higher level, that becomes harder and harder
Yeah,
as the DM. Becomes very difficult. And so AI allows me to do that a little bit better. There are tools that allow you to craft encounters. But one thing about AI is I'm not limited to what the books say. The
Yep.
books say, hey, this monster does this. AI just goes, well, I'm gonna create something that's based off this thing, based on what I'm prompting, like, hey, have it be sort of like this, but give it extra powers. And then I pick and choose what I think would be fun based on
fun.
what I know about the players. So
Nice.
that's great. I absolutely love it.
I feel
Do you
like
guys
that.
roll-
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Peter.
Do you guys roll physical dice ever? Still?
Yeah.
Is that still because Steve, you were
Mhm.
talking about physical things that you're moving around and
Yes.
wire cutting. Is that part of the fun still?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I have so
Yeah.
many dice.
Yeah. It's great. In fact, I as the DM always roll physical dice.
Okay.
The players are a mix. Like
Nice.
sometimes there's certain things they'll use dice for and certain things they don't. It's very funny. I think when they're like attacking, it's super easy to just click the attack and it rolls the dice and it has the damage there right away where you can click that. That I think is great. It does all the math for you, that kind of thing.
Yep.
But then there are certain specialized things and house rules that I have for like lock picking. So when the
Okay.
rogue has to go pick a lock, I have a certain house rule, and they love rolling the dice for that.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah,
I
it's a
relate so
mix.
hard. Yeah.
It's a mix. What do you think, Allison? Do you like to roll dice or do you prefer the digital?
For me, I mostly like using the digital dice because it'll do all the math on like my modifiers and it'll pull the right ones for me, which is great. But the way I think about it is if it's really important, if it's like something really hangs on this roll, I'm gonna bring out the physical dice because I want agency. I want to be the one to test Lady Luck and that just feels more hefty to me when you do it that way, more meaningful, which is kind of funny. It's the same thing, but
That's
that's how I
awesome.
like to do it. Yeah.
Kyle,
Yeah,
what about
I
you?
like as when you're DMing, I like to be able to like roll the dice and then, if I really need things to go a certain way to keep the story moving and to push forward and all that, I'm rolling the dice, but no, it's gonna hit. Pretty sure
Another
it's gonna
another
happen.
17. What are the odds?
Wow, Kyle admit to cheating right there. I see how it
Absolutely.
is. I
Yeah.
see how it is. Yeah.
Well,
DM's prerogative, I suppose, every once in a while.
and that's the thing, like, focusing on the rules and structure and all that stuff. It's like, well, it's about having fun. At the end
Yeah.
of the day, it's about having fun.
Yeah.
And if you kill the entire party in the first half hour, it's not going to make people really happy.
Yeah.
Um, and I've played before, um, where if your character dies, then you have to leave. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
what?
That's harsh.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Do they
play with these
tear
guys that
Did they
they
tear the
watch
sheet up in
football.
front of you and
Jeez.
like
Yeah, like
your player's done?
that's hardcore, you
Take 'em
guys.
nowhere.
Wow.
Yeah, I joined this group that had been in flight for years, and yeah, those guys were serious. They were not messing around. Like, yeah, your whole party will die. Like if you mess up, it will happen. Yeah. Okay.
Sheesh.
I played twice, and I
You
was
know,
like,
that's
yeah,
interesting because I've probably fudged more dice at low levels
Mm,
because things can turn and people can die.
right.
But I actually explained this campaign. I said, this is going to be very deadly. Are you okay with that? And they're like, yep. So
Mm.
I oftentimes will roll the dice out on the table where everyone can see
Mm.
them. Like there is no chance for me to change this die. It's whatever's rolled. And so, lives in the balance, right? But there's a certain
yeah,
amount of tension there that's kind of fun. So,
yeah. I like that there's a mix, that there's things you can benefit from, but when you're playing, if you get together in person, having all the stuff you created, Steve, when during COVID, we did a video, and
Yeah.
Steve came in and brought like all of his stuff, and we set up like this series of little set pieces that kind of one flowed into the next that we were filming, and it was really cool. And then playing, having access to that stuff, those physical props. I think that is so much fun. Um, but then also like ahead of time, like, okay, I have a third level character, but I'm not really sure if he's properly equipped or if he's got stuff he shouldn't have at that level, things like that. I made a PDF of my character sheet, uploaded it to ChatGPT, and I said, is this appropriate, like for this level, all this stuff? Does he have the right gear? Anything missing? I went through this whole series of prompts, and it was fine. I'm like, okay, and I felt a lot better about going into the game. Like I wasn't trying to
Mm.
get away with something, or a third level character that has this super weapon and he's just gonna wade through everything. Like it's no fun to have superpowers. And the game
What?
lasts 20 minutes.
Okay. Maybe if it shortens the game that much, but it's got to be fun to have superpowers.
oh yeah, it is. Everybody wants to do their character's cool stuff,
Right.
right? And that, I mean, that's what the game is about. It doesn't even matter how obscure it is. If you've got it on your sheet, everybody loves, wait a minute, I have advantage against being charmed. Even something like
Yeah.
that, like everybody gets excited about it,
That's right.
So that's fun. But I
Yeah.
would say technology is a great augmentation for the game, but ultimately it's a people and tactile thing for the most important moments. Is that fair?
Mm.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I was trying to think of that too when I was preparing for this episode, was like how much technology could be incorporated before I start losing interest and it kind of loses the heart of it. And I was just doing like some scenarios of like, would I enjoy being a player in a campaign that is run by an AI DM with other like AI, player characters? Would that be fun? It's kind of what the video games are, like Baldur's Gate or whatever. So like maybe kind of, but it would just be different. It would be enjoyable for very different reasons than an in-person game, I feel like.
What if you
I don't
could
know how you all
insert
feel.
yourself into your TV show that got you hooked on the game itself,
Yeah,
and you'd play with
true.
those? You're just an extra player all of a sudden that would
Whoa.
be part
Huh,
of it. That would be fun.
that could be really cool. Yeah. Yeah, if they made that into like something that you could interface with those characters, and oh my gosh, the potential there I think is huge. I think there are a lot of fans who would love to play with those beloved characters that they've been watching for years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it kind of be cool as you're going through the adventure to like play out the thing and then have a like cinematic moment where you can see
Mm,
like your characters fighting and all that kind of stuff.
yeah.
That's well beyond me to to create that thing. But
You're not acting the figures out and making the terrible deaths happen, and
with the technology to kind of get away from my video idea, um, it's so much more fun when you don't have to do so much work as part of the game. If you have
Mm,
these tools, um, you use the term augmentation, and I see that as what AI is really doing for us. It's not replacing people, it's augmenting their work. And I think that's a benefit, and it's not a cheat. Um, but it could be. I guess I don't know. What do you think, Steve?
Um, I think I look at it this way. I used to spend a really an inordinate amount of time preparing for an adventure. I mean, I'm like not kidding, like 6, 7 hours that I would
right,
be putting into doing that. Now, a lot of that was um, not just creating the kind of the outline of the adventure, but it would be creating these, little artifacts that I mentioned earlier that I use AI for. But also just trying to account for how things might go. And what I've learned, and this just comes from experience, like I am totally now comfortable going into tonight's adventure, having prepared minimally because I'm better at improv than I was 5 years ago.
oh
I'm
yeah,
better. I'm better at adjusting to what they're doing on the fly.
right,
Um, and I used to feel like I needed to be so prepared for everything, and I'm now at the point where I don't. I have
yep,
my I have my little pieces of information, and as long as I have my document where I can get to the things and I'm not wasting a ton of time at the table finding it, I can improv everything else.
Yeah, you're not starting the game like just exhausted from the preparation of it.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So to me, the technology has helped with that, but some of that is just doing it, right?
right,
And you're only going to get better by doing it, which
Yeah.
technology can't necessarily help with that. It can just make you feel better about it.
right.
Yeah.
So, for anybody who, Kyle, you just started being a DM, and maybe Allison, you want to be a DM, and you know, there's no time like the present to start, right?
Yeah. And now with all these tools and videos and stuff,
Yeah.
all the technology, it's easier than it's ever been, I think. And looks like we're a minute over. So I think, Steve, what you just said is a good note to land on. And thank you very much. I love the topic. I love talking about this stuff. It's great. So, Steve, Allison, Peter, thanks for being here and doing this. And until next time, I think we can say goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye,
everybody.
everybody.
See you later.
Ciao.
Solution Design Group is a digital product consultancy in Minneapolis. Check us out on the web at solutiondesign.com or look for us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram at Solution Design Group.